Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Planet Coaster 2 video. And welcome to Kennedy Gardens, which is sort of a new theme park, but really an extension from my last series, which was recreating my old RCT3 ride, Merlin's Revenge. And alas, I've decided to turn that creation into a full theme park, so here we are. As you can see, I've started some work on a log ride over here, which, similar to Merlin's Revenge, is also a recreation of one of my old RCT3 rides when I was 13. This park, I feel like, is going to end up being a reincarnation of all of my old creations, so it's going to be fun. Figured I'd start off by showing you the old video of that old log ride, and then we can get started with the time-lapse. Alright, so now let's watch this cringeworthy fest of a video and get some inspiration on what we're going to do with this log ride. So, as the title suggests here, my old ride was called Splash Mine. Gotta love these iMovie pre-edits or whatever they're called. Anyway, Splash Mine's kind of a western log ride theme. Layout is similar to Splash Mountain at Disneyland at Disney World, so just start out with the POV. So essentially, the ride has a couple of dark ride elements. There's a couple of areas where you're going through a western town, and then you're gonna go down a couple of drops. The first drop is going to be kind of in the top of the mountain after having a little outdoor excursion that sort of turns around and hugs the drop. Very similar to how Splash Mountain is laid out, I guess. After that, gonna have a little bit another turnaround, and then our second drop. Our second drop is actually, in this version, similar to Splash Mountain. There is a little hill, but in my case, I don't think I can actually do a hill like this, or like, you know, you drop and you go up. Splash Mountain has that midway or whatever, so we're not going to do that. But after that, we're going to enjoy a little excursion through the western town, and I think this area is mainly going to be inspired off of the kind of last portion of Timber Mountain Log Ride at Knott's Berry Farm. You're kind of going through that old western style town, I guess, before the drop. And finally, you make your way up this big hill and then have a little TNT explosion at the top. And then finally do our final drop into the splash area. And after that, that's pretty much the ride. So I think we have a good layout here. I think we have a good starting point. So let's bring this into Planet Coaster 2. Alright, so jumping into the time lapse here, the first thing we need to do is obviously lay out the log ride. So the layout is, like I said, kind of similar to Disney's Splash Mountain, and maybe a mixture of Timber Mountain Log Ride at Knott's Berry Farm. So I also wanted to play faithful to my original RCT3 layout. So I did a lot of watching that video over and over again just to try and see what the layout actually involved, and you know, like I said, it involves 3 drops and a couple of like dark ride sections. And I actually wanted to talk about like what the theme of this is going to be, because originally, well, the original version is called Splash Mine, but I don't know if I want like a mining theme for this one. I think I want more of a mill or like logging kind of theme. I feel like the terrain or the overall theme of this park is not really like a desert, which is what the original version had, was kind of had a desert sort of theme. I want this to be more of a foresty theme, so this is going to be not called Splash Mine. Actually, it's actually going to be called Splash Mill, but the actual layout and the whole idea and the theme is, you know, going to be extremely inspired off of that old version. And similar to how I handled Merlin's Revenge, where, you know, I didn't make everything one-to-one. I made it sort of realistic in terms of how an actual park would approach a ride like that, you know? Because like my 13-year-old brain wasn't exactly developed when it came to the realism involved with certain rides. I was just like, oh, it looks like that, whatever. But now I'm like kind of not an expert, but I feel like I have a better understanding of what a manufacturer would really do. But with that, we're going to make this pretty realistic, as if it were to be actually built. So that involves dark ride sections and layouts and theme and all that good stuff. So anyways, let's get back to what we're doing in the video. So so maybe I just kind of want to talk about why I decided to make this a full series. I was kind of going into the archives of my old videos, and I was noticing there was like a lot of cool rides that I think are a good starting point in terms of actually coming up with like a real theme park. So I decided, you know what, let's make Kennedy Gardens this theme park. It's kind of a graveyard or reincarnation of all of my old rides from back in the day, because they all kind of have a good theme, and I think it would make a good theme park. So that's kind of what this theme park is going to be. I think I'm going to spend, an episode or two on a recreation, then move on to another one. And it's not to say this park is actually going to be strictly just recreations. I think it'll also be original ideas as well. For example, like the Viking area, I'm not sure if I have a Viking themed ride I made for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, so it might just be, that might be kind of a fresh area. So not all the areas are going to be my old creations. I think a lot of them are also going to be originals as well, so we'll watch out for that. But yeah, so what we're doing, I think, for this whole area is I want this to be a Western themed area. So not only are we going to have the Splash Mine, which is like the main attraction for this area, I want to make a little Western town and maybe some shops and like a saloon and, all that good stuff. So I'm actually going to put that kind of in the area right next to the log ride where the entrance was, sort of where I was putting some of those pathways earlier. I think that's kind of where we're going to have our main, I guess, Western themed area, kind of like how I have for Merlin's Revenge. I had like the Viking area for a short while, or like did the Viking area for a little small portion of it. So just to kind of tie it in with the overall theme of the park. And it's also going to be more of a frontier style theme. It's not going to be deserty Western. It's going to be more like trees and kind of like Pacific Northwest style frontier buildings. And the ride is actually going to be themed to like a log flume, log mill. So there's going to be more trees and foliage and stuff. It's not going to be, boring desert. So I kind of like that a little bit more. I feel like it fits the log theme a little bit better. And, I haven't really touched that in a while, or touched that kind of theme in a while. So I'm excited to do that here. But anyways, getting back to what we're doing in the video, I'm actually starting to build the scenery for the finale drop. And in my RCT3 version, as you saw, there was like before the drop, there's a little bit of a TNT quote-unquote explosion. You couldn't really do like animations in RCT3 at the time, so I just did. I just put TNT everywhere. But now that we're in Planet Coaster 2, I wanted to make this a little bit more interactive. So I have some like TNT barrels that are going to be exploding, and then I'm going to have like TNT kind of, there's going to be like a flame that follows you on the track. I didn't show that here, but we're going to do that. And then the last portion before we drop, I'm going to have kind of this is sort of a drop panel, I guess. And so these are going to drop, and then it's going to explode and all that good stuff. I'm not going to show all of the special effects. I think I'm going to save that for, final POV. So I'm going to keep some of the dark ride elements a little bit under wraps until then, but that's kind of the plan. So it's helped having me. I'm just trying to pay homage to my old ways, or my old ride, and bring it into reality. It's kind of like watching an old movie and then having someone recreate that movie in modern day, or kind of like that, So yeah, and now that we're kind of into the builds here, I think this is where the logging theme is really going to kind of shine. Now in the RCT3 POV, this area of the ride didn't really have anything. It was just kind of, you were just kind of in some walls, or there was maybe some rocks and wooden walls around you. But now that we're kind of doing a full theme, I want to actually have scenery elements to look at. And, here's where I'm going to kind of make this the logging area. So we have, I think these are like those moving platforms or whatever. So I'm going to have those moving platforms kind of, moving logs around, like they're sort of stacking them up, and then I think this is where like the sawmill is actually going to be. So we're gonna have like logs hanging everywhere. It's gonna be kind of just like a wooden industrial style theming. So the actual mill is gonna be like this wooden structure, but I think I'm also gonna do the town, and then I'm also gonna do like a wilderness sort of area. So we're gonna do that in other parts of the ride, and we're gonna probably do that in later episodes, but here you can see I'm kind of adding some saw blades. So the saw blades are going to go by as like the log ride is going. You're going to miss them, and I'm really grateful for these like moving platforms in this game, because you can really do just about anything. So and yeah, I think like I had mentioned, the drop here is not going to be that. This is the second drop in the ride and the old ride, and I decided not to do like a little hill, because I figured you can't really do that in this game. And I don't know. I did the fake drop where I did a little small lift hill, but I feel like, I don't know, it just didn't feel realistic. And I was like, you know what, it's fine. It's not like a huge deal. I'll just keep it a regular drop. But yeah, so this is sort of the main mine area, I think. This is where all the logging is going to be stored and cut, and so you're going to make a couple of pass-throughs in this area, and then this area over here I think is going to be like maybe a little bit of a cave section. This is the final drop, not the final drop, but the drop prior to being in like the main town. So the main town is going to be where all those like turnarounds are after this drop here. So yeah, so that kind of wraps up this area a little bit. This is going to be the saw blade is going to kind of come down and interact with the guests before they go down that drop. But yeah, so now we're kind of just moving on to outside scenery, and this area is like directly pulled from like Splash Mountain in terms of like the interaction. I wanted there to be some outside elements as well as there being like inside elements for this ride. The majority of the ride is going to be inside, but I also want like guests to see the ride on the outside, and Splash Mountain does the same trick where it kind of goes up and wraps around and hugs the drop, and I always kind of liked that interaction, because it kind of gave you the illusion that you're in this like this mountain holds this like massive ride, when really it's all just like in a big show building behind it. So kind of wanted to give the illusion that this huge ride is all inside this this mine shaft or whatever it's called. Yeah, and so now I'm just adding some scenery in the outside. I think this is going to be more of a pre-show area, so I'm not really sure what the story is going to be, but just giving it kind of a loose alpine theme. I think the idea is I kind of want the TNT to be the finale, but the buildup is like there's going to be a sabotage of the mill or something like that. So your job is to like plant TNT around, or I don't know, like some of the cowboys are going to like help you out. I don't know. It's not like fully recognized or fully like laid out, but we'll come up. You see that little wanted poster there. I think we'll have some kind of theme where cowboys will be involved or whatever. I think I placed down a couple of cowboy animatronics, but for right now I just kind of want to get the bare bones and the skeleton of the ride put together. So but I also wanted to build the front part, because this is like what everyone sees in the cool sort of area, and this is where I'm at in terms of the build. So just decided to stay here, whatnot. And keeping up with the logging theme, and this being a mill, we have a couple logs like hanging here, and then I think this is where I add like the cowboys and stuff. So just kind of clutter, just to kind of fill in the area. But yeah, but other than that, I am really excited for this series. I'm really excited to be recreating all this like cool stuff. I was going back into my old videos and just admiring all of the all of the attempts I made, and I think it'll turn into a pretty cool park. So get ready for that. I actually have an idea of what I'm going to do in this like Western themed area. We're going to be here, I'd say, for like at least 5 or 6 episodes. I don't know. There's a lot to cover here. So there's a lot of things I want to do. So be prepared to be in a Western theme for the next couple of episodes. But yeah, so I think we're almost getting near the end here. Decided to add a little like waterfall element to add to the splashdown. And I think this area I decided to keep it a little bit more open. The splash more open. I think in my original version the splash kind of goes underground like it is in Splash Mountain, but I think this one I decided to make it more of just kind of open feeling. I don't know. The splash is more exposed, you can see it, so a little bit of a change there, I guess. But yeah, so I'm excited for the series. I think it's gonna be fun. I think there's a lot of good things that we're gonna be doing. And it's gonna turn into a really incredible park, I think. I am slightly worried for my FPS, but the scenery intensity is not gonna be as bad, so. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next part, but we're going to continue probably working on this for an episode or two, but in the meantime, enjoy some cinematics and see you later.